Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we break down the latest news and trends shaping our world. I'm your host, Walter. Today, we're diving into a story that's sending shockwaves across the globe, the escalating tensions in the Middle East and their potential impact on the global economy. As you may have heard, the recent developments in the region have led to a surge in crude oil prices, with some experts predicting that they could reach as high as $110 per barrel. This has significant implications for countries like India, which relies heavily on imported crude oil. The rising costs could lead to higher inflationary pressure, a widening current account deficit, and increased subsidy obligations. But what's driving these price increases? According to analysts, the main concern is the potential disruption to shipping lanes in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical waterway through which approximately 20% of the world's oil supply passes. Even a partial disruption could embed a $20–40 per barrel geopolitical premium, making crude oil prices skyrocket. Now, some experts argue that the market tends to overreact to geopolitical crises, and that prices will eventually adjust as trade flows reroute and fundamentals reassert themselves. However, others warn that if the situation in the Middle East continues to escalate, the consequences could be far-reaching and have a lasting impact on the global economy. We'll continue to monitor this developing story and bring you updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, we want to hear from you. How do you think the rising crude oil prices will affect your daily life? Share your thoughts with us on social media using the hashtag #ConcreteBlock. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into a complex and rapidly evolving story that's unfolding in the Middle East. Reports are emerging of a joint U.S.-Israeli military operation targeting Iran, with multiple strikes hitting various locations across the country. The situation is fluid, and details are still coming in, but it's clear that this escalation has the potential to have far-reaching consequences for the region and beyond. According to sources, the operation involved approximately 200 Israeli fighter jets striking around 500 targets in western and central Iran, including aerial defense systems and missile launchers. The U.S. military was also involved in the operation, which was reportedly months in the planning. The goal of the joint attack, as stated by Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, is to remove the existential threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran. The Iranian government has retaliated with strikes of its own, targeting U.S. and Israeli interests in the region. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and other countries have reported intercepting Iranian missiles, with some damage and casualties reported. One of the most significant developments is the report that Supreme Leader Khamenei was killed in one of the Israeli strikes. However, this has not been officially confirmed by Iranian authorities, and conflicting accounts are emerging. The situation on the ground is chaotic, with Iranian security forces deploying in force to suppress any potential protests or uprisings. The international community is watching with bated breath as this crisis unfolds. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has condemned the strikes, warning of a grave threat to international peace and security. World leaders are urging restraint and calling for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. As we continue to monitor this developing story, it's essential to consider the potential implications for global stability and security. The Middle East is a complex and volatile region, and any escalation of violence can have far-reaching and unpredictable consequences. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story as it continues to unfold. For now, it's clear that the situation remains highly fluid and uncertain. Welcome back to the Concrete Block. As we wrap up today's show, we're taking a closer look at a developing story that's making headlines around the world. Reports are emerging of a significant escalation in the conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. According to sources, a joint military operation has resulted in the death of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. Details are still coming in, but it appears that the operation involved a series of airstrikes targeting key Iranian military installations and command centers. The attack is said to have been carried out in response to Iran's refusal to renounce its nuclear program and cease support for proxy militant groups in the region. Reactions to the news have been mixed, with some hailing the operation as a major blow to Iranian aggression, while others are warning of a potentially catastrophic escalation in the conflict. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has vowed revenge and retribution for Khamenei's death, sparking fears of a wider regional war. As the situation continues to unfold, leaders from around the world are calling for calm and restraint. The U.S. and its allies are urging Iran to avoid further provocation, while also emphasizing their commitment to defending their interests in the region. It's a complex and rapidly evolving story, and we'll be keeping a close eye on developments as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that the death of Ayatollah Khamenei marks a significant turning point in the conflict, with far-reaching implications for the future of the Middle East. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.